Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
Hey, it's time to gather around the water cooler to talk the SNL Hall of Fame.
Hey, it's JD here, and welcome back to the SNL Hall of Fame Water Cooler podcast. I am your host and the curator of the SNL Hall of Fame. I'm just jingling my keys here to get in the door. God darn it. Yeah, it's that one. Okay, I'm in, and I'm walking down the hall. I don't see Matt today, but I'm going to head right down. Hey, guys, how you doing down there? Shari, what's happening?
Hey, JD, got my water bottle, and I'm glugging and happy to see you.
Happy to see you, too. Joe, my friend, what's shaking?
I'm good. I got my water ready to go to the garden, and let's see if I grew any and beets today. That is what we in the biz call a bad joke. So, but yeah, I'm ready to go.
Well, this week on the show, we had a first timer, but a Saturday Night Live expert and aficionado. James Stevens joined us to talk about the career of Ann Beats. And I'm wondering, Shari, if you wouldn't do as you always do and run us through that episode.
Oh, absolutely. It was a goodie, as you said. James Stevens of Saturday Night Network fame. He is the kind of the behind the scenes to John Schneider's On Camera. You see them both on camera. If you've watched their YouTube, everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live, they're up to season 20. I recommend that anybody into Saturday Night Live in any way who has access to the internet, check that show out, because these dudes know what they're doing. They know the show inside and out. Just remarkable. So I knew I was going to be in for a treat with Mr. Bill Kenny and Mr. James Stevens, who could write the book on SNL. And they certainly were both very familiar with the career of early writer Ann Beats, one of the original female voices of the show. They took us through a great deal of her sketches. They couldn't possibly do all of them, but they hit a lot of the high notes, including, of course, Lisa Loopner and Todd DiLaMuca, the nerds. So, it was a super fun discussion. James made some excellent points about how important Ann was and how she often gets forgotten, and how thrilled he was to see her show up. Sorry, my doggy just entered. Both my doggies just entered and distracted me. Sorry. But yeah, he talked a lot about how she was really so intrinsic to the show and doesn't get enough credit, but that he was thrilled that she showed up in the Saturday Night movie and in the Lampoon movie about the Lampoon that I am.
A silly and futile gesture. I highly recommend it if you like the Saturday Night Live. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just
you're good. I could not it was in my notes, but I couldn't find it. So yeah, an excellent episode. They covered we'll get to her after SNL career, because I'm really excited about that. So they talked about that as well, and I was very thrilled to see that Bill and I have yet another thing in common. But we'll get there. Take it away, JD.
Oh, right. Well, what we normally do in this segment is we do a bit of comparing and contrasting. We look at the Hall of Fame as it's currently constituted, and then we look at the ballot, and we try and find her. So, Joe, want to keep the ball in your court here? Parable to somebody who's already.
Um, I mean, really obvious. Someone that got in year one, Tina Fey. I mean, uh, both are just excellent female writers. It's hard to compare apples to oranges. However, what they both are really good at is satirizing society, which is obviously what SNL is known for. It's almost like what its job is. And as far as Ann Beats goes, you know, if you look at sketch comedy and all the variety shows prior to Saturday Night Live, they were very family friendly, safe, sunny, and I know Laugh-In could be a thing. I know there's Laugh-In, and I know there was probably female writers and such like this, but after listening to the other podcast and seeing all of the sketches that Ann Beats uh, was responsible for or worked on, she really satirized what it was like to either be a normal, human in society instead of like, and in other words, it was like she had a very young voice and knew how to satirize life for a younger person as opposed to doing silly stuff that's aimed to families, adults, and such like this. And then when you look at like hard hats, I mean, she's basically satirizing what it's like to walk down the street in New York as a woman. I mean, she's not satirizing a movie. She's not satirizing the president. She's satirizing walking down the street. And then on the spot, satirizing products basically and saying who sells this stuff, and then working well with a performer and basically taking who sells the stuff and developing a character out of it. And then the last one I want in my notes that I wanted to point out was they mentioned the commercial Speed, not the movie, but the joke was, how does a woman in the modern age get all this stuff done? By she works at NASA and is a stay-at-home mom and da da da, and and it's like she takes Speed, and I immediately love the idea. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. And I was like, wait a minute, this is similar to, Heroin AM, a sketch that, or commercial parody that SNL did in the recent 10 years, and she did it 50 years, 40 years before, and the thing is with Heroin AM is just satirizing medicine commercials now. So what I'm getting at is she was way ahead of her time. She was basically doing, yeah, she was basically doing something that it would be a commercial parody now. She was doing it in the 70s. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure Speed wasn't totally unfamiliar in the 70s. But doing that in that context, that idea is something that, you could pretty much do the same. They pretty much did do the same commercial parody now. And it's like, it's like the same idea in a different context, and it has a different meaning. Um, so she just, and then uh, I could keep going on, but I also just want to give a mention to her relationship to Michael O'Donoghue. So it's like, if you can be friends with, and I love Michael O'Donoghue. I'm not saying anything negative, but if you could tame the tiger and be friends with that guy, like you got something. You got something. And but yeah, she was able to satirize what it was like to be a woman in the 70s, and then Tina Fey pretty much did something similar where she had an idea about what it was like to be in Boston, and she created the Boston Teen. So she was able to take an idea and develop a character out of it using with help of a performer that's not her. And so yeah, I mean, it's totally Tina all the way. She's almost, if you want to say, the Tina of the 70s. So I mean, maybe that is performer, but as a writer, because I know Tina's a performer, 30 Rock. so forth. But as a writer, they have a lot in common. So
I feel like she
that's
identifies as a writer first and foremost. I might be wrong, but I feel like if you were to ask her, she would say she's a writer.
who, Tina or Anne? Tina, it just seems like she does more writing than performing. Mean Girls, 30 Rock.
Well, Shari, what have you got in this front?
Oh, I think Tina is such a good comparison, Joe. How I didn't think of her, I don't know. Because when you look at the Boston teens and you look at the nerds, there's so many echoes. And I didn't even think
Yeah,
about that. But I definitely think Tina was inspired by Anne. I'm sure she's discussed that in interviews. That Anne and Marilyn Suzanne Miller and Rosie Shuster were definitely inspiration for her. And you can certainly see it. And she definitely, JD, I agree, she identifies as a writer first. Because who did Lauren bring back for the 50th? Tina was like the kind of the lead writer on the 50th anniversary. So she definitely is a writer first and actress second. And we got to remember, Anne was in 71 sketches in some
Mm.
way or another. I mean, granted, she was usually in the background, but like that speed commercial, that was all her. So wow. Yeah. So not an actress like Tina, but still she had the chops when she needed to. But as far as people I found to compare to her, all of the writers from the early years that are in. Jack, uh, Robert Smigel, Jim Downey, a little further down the timeline, but still definitely earlier writers and writers who really, really affected the show. I mean, we can talk forever about Jim Downey and his effect on the show and his political sketches. We can talk about Smigel, Bill Kenny's best friend, as he often says, and his huge contribution over, I don't know, like 30 years. And then same with Jack Handy. But Anne is right there. She had such an impact on the show. And her impact, as Joe pointed out, as Bill pointed out, as Jones pointed out, is still echoing on the show today. Did you want me to go first? Or did you want to go first, Joe? Okay. Yeah, I had the obvious, her writing partners so much of the time, including for Hard Hats, uh, Rosie Shuster. I mean, they did so many sketches together. I believe they did the Uncle Roy together as well. She and Rosie wrote together a lot. So it's obvious. And I voted for Rosie every single time since she's been on the ballot. So I'm hoping this year with the unlimited buffet that people will get these two important female writers in the hall. Listen to me, people. Do it. Okay. Off my soapbox. Take it away, Joe.
Love it. No, I totally agree. It is suits her. I mean, almost to a point where people might get the two confused between each other. Like a female writer in the first 5 years. Um, so if there is someone to block beats, it's probably Schutzer. If I forgive me if I pronounce it wrong, but only because they're around the same era. Even I mean, they wrote on similar sketches. That's just it. But uh, if either one gets in, if like if Schultzer steals votes from Beats and vice versa, and it causes one of them to get in, and instead of the other, it's like either one deserves to be in. If they both deserve to be in, everyone for the first 5 years, So, but yeah, it's Schutzer who's similar. Um, because they wrote in the same period and even on the same sketches.
I think those are all great. You done it again. You've done it again. And now what we're gonna do is something we do every week where we listen to kind of word. Mm,
give the voters and SNL fans the reasons why they should consider Ann Beats in the SNL Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. As I just think about sort of big picture Ann Beats, nominated for 5 Emmys, she won 1. She is, we mentioned this in the Saturday Night film, but also she was portrayed in a futile and stupid gesture.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And so like here's two films about the comedy culture that has another actor portraying this person, Ann Beats, a writer. That to me, says something. I know you mentioned it at the beginning of our time here today, but there's that really, really special photo, Edie Baskin photo of O'Donoghue and Anne smiling over dinner in the original opening montage. And I was thinking about this as I was just going, gosh, I hope I sound coherent, and I don't want to let Bill Kenny down. And what are some other things that one could say about Anne is I think that there's, I don't know that she is the chief architect of the culture of we know the show in terms of like Tuesday nights, writing nights, and staying there all night. But I will give you one thing to consider. She was the first person to, in one of her contract negotiations, she asked and received from the network them to install a hospital bed in her office. So I think that, and it wasn't until, we've all heard about the bunk beds that Aykroyd and Belushi had. That came after she had her hospital bed with the little buttons. And so I think that there's a bit of a subculture or a community that Anne is responsible for establishing that is the essence of what we know, or at least what we think we know about Tuesday nights. I mean, now the Please Don't Destroy shows a film, piece that starts, it goes writer's night, Tuesday. And so I believe, she was there from the very beginning. We went through many, many sketches. And I'll just summarize by saying, a few of the other ones that we didn't get to kind of, again, point back to her roots in commercial ads, because these just all happen to be, in one way or another, whether they're pre-taped or live, these are commercial parodies. There's Angora Bouquet, which when I've talked to Jim Signorelli, that's one of his favorite pre-tapes that he did. There's Mommy Beer. There's Hey You. There's the Meat Wagon action track set. There's Looking for Mr. Goodbar's Sleepy Time play set. And she doesn't commit to just parroting Catholicism with the nerd nativity. She also is the author of Jewish Genes. So I think I mentioned earlier that about a month after she passed, I'm trying not to get emotional. Like, we had scheduled an interview with her and was really looking forward to conversing with her and just sort of getting to know her better. I like to think, Bill, that what you said, and hopefully I did it justice, our conversation today is something that if she was living today and listened to it, that it would warm her heart. But I just think she's one of the greatest.
All right, we're going to start with Shari here. Shari, what do you think about James' final?
I think Mr. James Stevens is a absolute fountain of SNL knowledge, and an absolute, he knows these first 5 years especially well. He talks about that. I've just noticed his collection, not to go off topic, but I don't know if you guys have ever watched like Everything You Need to Know. They'll show some of his collection. It's incredible. And he talked to Bill about how that collection is what kind of got him into the Saturday Night Network, because he was in one of John's first interviews. So the gentleman has so much knowledge, and he's such a fan of Anne, and he lays it out. She's so important. He talks about the sketches again. He goes through them very quickly. he talks about the fact that there were hardly any women writing for television, and she was there, and she was saying things that weren't getting said. I cannot agree more with James Stevens. 100%. I completely concur. He did a fantastic job, as did Bill Kenny, of discussing the amazingness of Ambeats. And now is the time when I'm going to show and tell, because Ambeats went on to write one of my favorite shows of all time.
Amazing.
Square Pegs.
Yeah.
I have the DVD, Bill Kenny. I have it. I love it. It was before Sarah Jessica Parker was a. I love it. Yes, I'm holding up the Square Pegs DVD since you're listening to me and can't see it. I love it. This was a Christmas present from my husband. It took years to come out because of all the music copyright stuff. But as soon as it came out, it was under the tree for me. And I was super excited. I love this show. And absolutely nailed it. She nailed what it was like to be a teen in the 80s. How do I know? Because I was a teen in the 80s and it was miserable. And she just nailed it. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that, even though I know it's not SNL related. It just shows the greatness of Ambeats and how, like Joe said, she could do the slice of life. And Bill said it too. She captured real life, whether it was on SNL or in this amazing show. People, find Square Pegs. It's around. I don't think you can stream it anywhere, but it's on like a live station called TBD. So if you have an antenna, you might be able to get it in the States. I have no idea about Canada. Find it. It's so great. I don't care that it's dated. It's still awesome. Okay, now I'm getting off my soapbox again. Go ahead, Joe.
All right.
Take it away, Joe.
Well then, I mean, between the other podcasts and Shari, not much to say. The only thing I want to add is that even though she's no longer, sadly, she's no longer with us. I kind of wish I could see her, ask her opinion and see her viewpoint on certain female-driven things today. Like, I would really love to hear her opinion on the Barbie movie. Because even I know it's not Saturday Night Live related, but it still deals with the hierarchy between men and women and such like that. And like I said, with Heroin AM and Xanax for gay weddings, doing just it's like there's so many things she inspired indirectly that are amazing today. Like so I don't know how much more I can add, but she certainly started something, and then like being at the beginning, she deserved to be at the beginning of Saturday Night Live. Like it would be such a different, definitely not as good. I'm not gonna, but not good of a show because she helped give it variety and show it's not just this is what a certain point of view thinks. This isn't just what men think. This is what a show that reality is satirized, and she helped give it dimension. That it's not just the Bees and Update and Blues Brothers. That there's also Hard Hats, and then what was the other character that? And then she helped write for Gilda, so it's like she helped the female performers get some screen time. So yeah, she helped give the show dimension, and I could easily tell that she inspired people to continue to give the show dimension. With Tina becoming female head writer, and you got Polar and Dratch and everyone saying that like I need to fill this hole that Ann Beats and Rosie Schultzer starting. So yeah, that's all
All right. Well, let's keep this wagon wheel rolling then, and we're going to talk about last week's episode of SNL. Joe, we'll stick with you, and I want to hear what your let's start with the Hall of Shame moment, and this is the episode 86 and musical guest Lady Gaga.
whatever was after Update. I don't remember what was after Update, but I do remember everything before. And there was a lot of, I was so much so that I got excited and I'm like, I need to write this down for the podcast. I don't want to forget. And there's a couple. One is Pip the Mouse, which was such an unusually weird and funny short. It's dark and I love it. I did not expect it. Like watching Saturday Night Live, it was a different type of humor that, it was great. I highly recommend, whatever, go on Peacock, YouTube, watch Pip the Mouse. But I guess mainly it was the
This doesn't sound
what?
like a con.
Oh no, like I said, the cons were just whatever was after update. Yeah, everything before update was great. Pip the Mouse. I mean, I hate to switch back and forth. I know I am kind of I know you set me up for con and I switched to pro. I probably shouldn't have done that, but well, how about that? Should I keep going with pros? I mean, I just realized I took the reins. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Okay, so well, to continue on, mainly my pro was the suitcase bike. It was such a silly premise. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out. One is the more obvious silly point, which is seeing Lady Gaga ride around Studio 8H on a suitcase bike. It was fun, silly, just exactly what. And I'm glad it was one of the first sketches. She's like this big, one of the greatest singers of all time. She is on this little suitcase riding around in a movie studio or TV studio. It's like we were talking about this with Brolin. She's here to play. No ego, just it's silly, it's entertaining. She's an entertainer. Let's do this. So I liked seeing her ride around. And then, but also the other point I want to make, I said this earlier and they're over, and this is me referring to that point, which is Jane Wickline. When she started at the beginning of the season, the thing that I noticed right away is how stiff and nervous she was in sketches, not just. And at first I thought it was like, is this going to be her SNL persona that she's stiff and nervous? But in Suitcase Bike, she was actually playing a character with a accent or a voice, and I'm like, here we go. All right, and I hope this is the beginning of like her coming out of her shell, and hopefully she does impersonations of like senators or whatever they need her for. Hopefully she's not just a one note featured performer. Hopefully she branches out and becomes a great SNL performer, just like she has every right to. And she's at the very beginning, so I hope that this is her coming out of her shell, and I hope this is the beginning of something and something good for her. I just want to see her grow.
Dare I say, could she be a Hall of Famer someday?
Possibly. I mean, this is only her first year, so I mean, there's nothing. And her updates are good, so we'll see. That's a fair question. So, either way, there's one of each. So,
Harry, how about you? How about your start with your con and then go start with your Hall of Shame and go to your Hall of Fame?
Oh.
Joe, you got me saying that.
Okay, my Hall of Shame. I was like Joe, I couldn't find a lot. This episode was like so much fun after last week's, in my opinion, debacle. I just thought this bounced the show right back on track. And I really enjoyed it. My husband really enjoyed it. We were cracking up. But the only little quibble, and it's just tiny, I missed my Mikey Longs and Emil. I know Emil is newer, and I know newbies don't get a lot of screen time, and that's Jane and Ashley Padilla as well. But yeah, I would like to have seen more. Mikey Longs is not getting screen time these last several eps, and I'm afraid. I hope he starts getting a little more love. People are talking about maybe he's going to take over Update. Who knows? I don't know that Michael Che and Colin Jost are going anywhere. They look like they're having too damn much fun. So who knows? But Mikey Longs, I love. And I love Emil. I think he's fantastic. Somebody made a comment on some podcasts. I listen to so many. But somebody made a comment that he should have played that in the Friendly sketch, which I know Joe didn't remember. That's one of the ones after Update, where they lie about the birthday. and all these like pagan type punishments are upon them. And Marcello gets to play like the evil whatever entity. And somebody said Emil should have done that. I agree. I love
The one from
Marcello.
Temple of Doom, yes.
I love yes. I love Marcello, but he's all over the show right now. And I know he's a decent guy.
Man.
He is. I agree, but he couldn't have maybe stepped. I know it's not him. He's got to do what he's got to do. I know SNL is very competitive, and you got to get yourself into what you got to get yourself into. But I wish that they put Emil there. He was playing the bongos in that sketch, and that's it for the whole show. And Mikey Longs was like a waiter in a couple of things. Come on, they need a little more love. So that's my con. Yeah, he is always aware. Hey, he can come wait on me. Come wait on me, Mikey Longs. Bring me a drink. I'm all for it. I'm actually seeing him. He's coming to a comedy club here in Michigan. And so is Emil. So I get to see both of them. So I'm very, very excited.
That's amazing.
Yes, I'm super excited about that. Sorry, I got totally off topic, but I'm very excited about that. As far as, should I go right into my pro? Is that cool, JD? Should I go right into my pro? Okay, I'll follow Joe's lead. My pro was, okay, so I'm a chick that doesn't wear a lot of makeup. I never have. I don't wear makeup at all, but I got such a kick out of the Easy Run mascara. We were talking about Ann Beats and her hilarious advertisements that she did back in the day. Boy, can you see Ann's influence in this with all the girls with the mascara running down their faces. The only thing I wish, little quibble, I wish all the women had been in it. I love my Sarah, and she was missing. But Sarah's having such a great season. I was okay with her not being in that. She is having an amazing freaking season. So I was okay with her not being in that. It was so freaking funny. I laughed a lot. It just was so relatable. It was beat for beat the regular commercial just turned on its head. And I loved it. Because whose mascara hasn't run? Even mine. I've worn mascara a couple times, and every time I do, I end up crying, which is a reason I don't wear a lot of makeup. So, yeah, I loved Easy Run Mascara. That was my favorite of the night. So well written, so well acted, so well shot. And again, a nod to the great Ann Beats and the great Rosie Shuster, because they paved the way for this, these powerful female-driven sketches. So way to go, Rosie and Ann. Way to go.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this once again. It's always great to get together in the lunchroom and talk about. We don't do a whole lot. It's a really nice water cooler, folks. You need to see it. That's what we got for you this week. I want to thank Joe. I want to thank Shari. They want to thank you for listening. It means a great deal to us if you do listen.
Thanks for listening to the SNL Hall of Fame Water Cooler. To connect with Joe and Shari, join our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/SNLHOF. To email the cast, write to snlhofwc@gmail.com. Please subscribe, share, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. Podcasts and such.
Your old or broken phone can let you down when you need it most.
Perfect.
But at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get the most for it, up to $2,000 in value, for an amazing new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and a new line on My Plan, and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. That's like a 3-for-1. And you can get it on any plan. At Verizon, trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. The other guys won't give you that. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad. Up to $2,000 value based on iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch.
Owning a boat comes with a number of perks, like being able to fling your favorite fishing rod around. And here's another perk. Geico's boat insurance covers your boat and your belongings. And with specialist support from agents that are as passionate about boating as you are. There's so much value that you'll want to high-five someone, but not while you're holding your fishing rod. That's a prized possession. So hold on tight with both hands and keep it covered through boat insurance. Get more with Geico.